Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your reading for the week of November 17th. This week you have this companion card. It says loyal, devoted, courageous, and friend. You have this classroom. It says self-evaluation, growth, and performance. Yeah, it's an amazing time for growth for you, Gemini, and you show up as yourself right here, which is good. We'll talk about it. But again, I would be focusing on growth through doing new things, obviously, with Uranus in your sign. Even though this week it will be retrograde in Taurus, doesn't matter. It's already entered into Gemini, so I would be taking advantage of that energy. Again, that rebellious, against the grain type of energy where you do things in your own way and you come up with unique solutions and things like that. That's where the most growth is going to come from, and performance as well. That's where the most success will come from for you as well. So I would definitely be paying attention to that. I do think it's a good time for socializing. You have that companion card, and again, you air signs always get these cards of like concentrated connections, those really close connections from people who really support you. It's not so much about spending time with tons and tons of people, just the very supportive ones. You start here with your current general energies with the Lovers, the Queen of Wands, and the Three of Swords. The Lovers, in that companion card, you have the Six of Cups and the Four of Wands. Definitely could be love. And you have the Emperor as well. So, if you're looking for an Emperor, sure, you could be attracting love. But the Lovers, of course, is you, Gemini. And whenever you show up as yourself, it kind of puts you in a position of power and strength and allows you to get what you want from the reading. So I feel you're just kind of showing up in a strong position. On top of that, we have 2 6s right here, which if you've been watching me for a while, I love 2 6s. To me, 2 6s says you're on the right path, you're going the right way. If we go down this way, you have the 6 of Swords to the World. So there definitely could be you heading towards like an accomplishment or an achievement. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we get there. You have the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is about needing to be bold and assertive, really needing to go for what you want. Really good card for seduction as well. So, if you're trying to seduce anyone here, Gemini, now, you might be a little bit better at flirting right now than you normally are. So even though it's a Mercury retrograde, who cares? I would still go for it. It's like maybe you normally look like a total nerd, but right now you might look a little extra sexy. So, again, I would go for it. If you're trying to flirt or something like that, and if you're normally awkward, now might be your chance. So there you go. You have the Three of Swords. Definitely a good time for healing. Again, Three of Swords would kind of be a little bit contradictory with what we just talked about, but Three of Swords, those swords are in your own heart. And the trick with the Three of Swords is we have to remove those swords from our own heart, and if we do that, we will heal. So it is an excellent time for healing the heart, getting rid of those things inside of you that stop you from being successful or whatever you want to call it. So I think now is a good time to heal. This doesn't even have to be about love. Again, pretty much anything can hurt us, like a failure, a issue that we have, some sort of argument we get into, whatever. And so again, you don't have to only focus on love. What's really important right now is with Uranus going into Taurus and Neptune and Pisces, these are very heart-based energies. They don't technically have anything to do with the heart, but they are connected. Neptune and Pisces, we have to be inspired to be able to do something, to do it in the first place. So obviously your heart, that inspirational energy can come from your heart. Uranus and Taurus wants us to build and leave a legacy, so it wants us to connect with our ultimate vision. And obviously our ultimate vision for our life probably should be connected to our heart in some way. We obviously want to do things that bring us fulfillment, or at least hopefully we should, because some people don't, but we should want that for ourselves, right? And, again, healing the heart is a good way to open your heart, and that's what I would do there. With the Lovers, you have the Ten of Cups. Again, pretty good love reading. You've been getting, now that I think about it, you've been getting pretty good love readings with me lately. So Ten of Cups is like everything you want and desire in a connection. It's also a fortune after difficulty. Again, I think Gemini is really going to enjoy the next, 7 years or so until 2033. That's 2 3s, because I always get corrected and people keep saying, why are you saying 2023? No, I said 2033. So 7 years from now. And again, really good time for you until that time. And I think globally it's going to create a little bit of chaos, which kind of peaks around 2028. I always talk about how 2026 is a very important year. So next year, 2028 is another important year, and then 2033 is also an important year. And so, again, anything you can do to bring more enjoyment into your life between now and then would be good. But I think you are going to enjoy these years, like on a personal level. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Knight of Wands. Yeah, we have to be, I really feel that this is spontaneous energy, but also the being willing to be messy. If we look at some of the things that are happening, South Node in Virgo, this Mercury retrograde starts in Sagittarius, and it's going to end in Scorpio, but then Mercury is going to go all the way back through Sagittarius, your opposite sign. Uranus and Gemini. It's like we could say that these energies want us to be spontaneous, but I think it's more, I think a better description of the energy would be that we have to be willing to break things. And that doesn't mean we should, but it just means that, if you're starting something new or working on new projects, it's like sometimes you break something, but, you have to break a few eggs to bake a cake, right? So, sometimes we have to be willing to make a mess, and, we can clean it up after. And I think that's what the Knight of Wands, is saying. With the Three of Swords, you have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands can be about carrying a heavy burden. He's carrying these 10 wands, obviously, and he's trying to reach his home. This retrograde seems positive to me. Not that it's like perfect or anything, but it does seem positive. But a lot of people have been getting like this type of energy of burdens. I feel like the universe is trying to get people to lighten up before next year is really how I would describe it. So I think that we need to look at things in our lives that are slowing us down, that are weighing us down. This could be people, places, things, habits, bad habits, good habits, pretty much anything. And, I would really be focusing on doing things that speed you up. But if there's anything that slows you down, that gets in your way, that steals time, that could be better used for yourself, again, I there's really kind of like something about that going on right now. I even, I will tell you, I'm giving away one of my businesses to a friend, basically. I'm making a little bit of money on it, but definitely not what it's worth, but, whatever. But, the reason I made that decision is because it's going to give me a bunch of time, right? It's like that business is just a major time suck for me, basically, at this point. And so I'm just giving it away, right, for the most part. And, I made that decision because I know that starting next year, I'm going to need that time for things that are more important, and it's just like such a mental release letting that go in some ways. And, I would ask you, like, what do you have in your life that would, it's like maybe these things you don't necessarily want to give it away, but you kind of do. That's how I feel about this business. It's like I've been thinking about it all year, this year, and I finally made the choice and the decision to do it because it's like I kind of want to, I kind of didn't want to, I'm like going back and forth. But, that tells me, it's like, I think what people have to think about, especially you, Gemini, is that if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. That's like the Mark Manson rule, right? If it's not an F yes, it's an F no. So going back and forth told me that it's an F no, right? And so anything you're going back and forth on, maybe you should just release it from your life because it might just be a no. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this card that says, you will be guided through darkness. You have this Siren card that says, a temptation may lead you astray. Yeah, I would definitely be careful of temptations this week. A lot of people have had the devil and, similar energies to that. And again, I think this boils down to time for you, Gemini. If something isn't going to, I think you have to look at your investment of time. Like if you give something time, are you getting more out than you put in? If the answer is yes, then obviously that is a good use of your time. If something is going to improve like a foundational energy, I think that's another thing that I talk about a lot. I'm going to talk about this a lot in the 2026 readings, which I'm about to do. But I think 2026, we should focus on foundational energy, which means we have to go one step below the thing that we want. So for example, if we want love, we should probably be focused more on becoming a person who loves themselves, right? That's like the big thing. But we should also be healing those blockages and things like that. It's almost like we have to working one step below, if that makes sense. is going to be the thing that actually gets us what we want. So we have to develop good habits, and things like that. And we also have to make sure we're not wasting our time. We have to make sure we're getting more, at least equal to what we're putting into things. But I think people who work on those like foundational energies are going to be really very successful moving forward. So there you go. You have the Six of Cups, the Six of Swords, and the Seven of Swords. Again, 2 sixes, which is amazing. 2 sixes really says you're on the right path. You're going in the right direction. So, could be a lot of success coming in for you here. 6 of Cups can be a gift from the universe. Usually the gift we receive from the 6 of Cups is a turnaround. So, it can represent kind of like bumping up against an obstacle. And then we have like some sort of turnaround in our life. So that's good. I also do feel that there could be like a very strong connection, obviously. We have, all this love stuff in the top row. 6 of Cups can be a soulmate. I find that people can meet their soulmates during retrogrades. That doesn't mean you start dating them right now, or it doesn't mean you have to, but you could be meeting a person that could be important. You have the Six of Swords, again, focusing on the improvements. Again, part of foundational energy is getting rid of the excess, getting rid of the fluff. I think as humans, we have complexity bias. It's like obviously, the older we get, the more problems we have. Or, don't say that, say something else. But, sometimes as life becomes more complex, we come up with more complex solutions. We overcomplicate the solutions, and we think that things have to be hard. And, I think that, especially next year, but, I would get started this year, because you're just going to set yourself up to have a better year next year if you do that. Kind of like focusing on simple, easy solutions, focusing on simplifying your life. That's going to be a big benefit for you, Gemini. I think I said this to you before, that I do feel that the next few years are going to be very busy. So it's like you're going to need the time, is part of the reason here. You have the Seven of Swords. This card's like your best friend right now, Gemini. Sure, Seven of Swords can represent lying, cheating, stealing, but, really, I think it's an irresponsible way to read the card, because it's a golden card. Golden cards in the tarot are meant to be positive no matter what. And really, he is stealing those swords from this army in the background. And so, it can represent needing to find another way of doing things. And, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I say this to you in every single reading, that your superpower is going to become very important, with Uranus and Gemini, finding other solutions or doing things in different ways. That's really going to make you very successful. One thing I will say about the Seven of Swords is that in the After Tarot, I have the deck. I just can't find it. It's laying around somewhere in here. But in the After Tarot, he's about to step into a trap. So the Seven of Swords can represent focusing on the wrong things and not focusing on like what's right in front of you. And so I kind of get a little bit of that energy for you with the Seven of Swords, that you should be making sure to focus on like what's right in front of you. Yes, with the Six of Cups, you have the Lovers again. So definitely could be a lover. Again, I'm not saying you have to like date this person right now, but you could be meeting a person for sure. And it seems like it is a good time for you to do that. So, as I always say, I think it's ridiculous for people to say that you shouldn't do things during retrogrades. We shouldn't be stopping our life for astrology or tarot. It is just energy to work with, and you can work with it or not. And, again, as long as you pay attention, you'll be perfectly fine. Here you go. With the Six of Swords, you have the Knight of Cups. So, again, for those of you that want love, it looks to me like there could be a big improvement in your love life, or you could be attracting a person who is an improvement. Knight of Cups is a knight in shining armor. I think for all of you, the whole entire reading really could be about love, but not, and I'm not talking about romantic love. This could be also about you building a life of love, building a life where you're doing things that you love, where you're spending time with all types of people that you love and all that. So, I think that, again, that love energy can be a foundational energy that you work on. And obviously, love is like the best energy to attract from. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Eight of Swords. Yeah, it's like time to try some of your crazy ideas. Eight of Swords is only seeing one way of doing things. I don't really think Gemini has a problem with this. I feel Gemini is always really good at coming up with other ways of doing things and new ways of doing things. But, Eight of Swords wants you to stay open. She's only seeing one way to solve her problem when there are many ways to solve her problem. So I would just stay open. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this ocean card. It says distance and journey. You have this dog. It says loyalty and determination. You could be attracting a person from a distance. You have the world here. So again, maybe you meet a person, you start talking, and maybe you don't even meet until after the retrograde. But, it could be a very loyal person just in general, which is good. I also feel determination energy coming from you with that Emperor. The Emperor is a very good card, of course. He can represent taking advantage of opportunity. He can be like leadership or bossing up, which I'm pretty sure I've said to you recently that you seem to me like you're bossing up. But he is very determined to make something successful. So we are definitely in a time, I think, where we have to be determined to make something work. And, it's like, I don't know, I do feel like in a weird way that, if you're working on a business or a project or even like your health or something like that, it might require like a little bit extra effort to get something going. I just said yesterday in a live with Devin Dewar on her channel that, I feel like, kind of right now it's almost like we're all on a train, but it's like a train, it really has to get chugging forward. Really, those wheels really kind of take a lot of energy to spin at first. But once a train gets going, it's like impossible to stop. So, I think that is how we should look at from now until 2028 is that, once we get the train going, if we're trying to start something, we'll be unstoppable, but we have to get going first, right? And that is what I feel with the Emperor. You have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. Again, I think everybody is just feeling Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto went from Capricorn to Aquarius. It actually did that multiple times, but this year it moved into Aquarius to stay. And, even though Pluto has been in Aquarius all year, it went retrograde almost to the beginning. It was like 1.12 degrees or something like that of Aquarius that Pluto retrograded to. So we went almost all the way to the beginning. And, I think it's calling back some of that Pluto in Capricorn energy, or we could be feeling that. But the cusp of Pluto in Capricorn and also Aquarius, when it goes over the cusp, it is like the death of establishment. We could be, we're all being asked to let go of old things that no longer serve us. And so if there's anything that, again, is wasting your time, anything that's getting in the way, it'll be a blessing. He's making the symbol here that the Hierophant is making on his card, and it represents a blessing in disguise. So there definitely could be a blessing in letting something go. You have the World. The World can be an accomplishment or an achievement coming in for you. So I do feel that there could be some sort of accomplishment or an achievement that you're moving towards. It's like you're on the right path, like I said, with the Six of Cups and the Six of Swords. I also feel the World could be something long distance. It could be a fixed sign. It could be an Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, or even a Capricorn that you're attracting. Fire definitely stands out to me for you. You always get fire with me. It doesn't have to be, but it could be a fire sign that you're attracting. But again, if it's something long distance, it might not be like, thousands of miles away, but could be a little bit longer. With the Emperor, you have the Eight of Wands. Quick success. It's like once you grab on to those opportunities that cause growth, that's where the success is going to come from. The Eight of Wands is also great for communication. So again, you might not like marry a person today, but you could be meeting a person that you start communicating with the Eight of Wands. I would definitely, the whole entire reading is saying pay attention to speed. Again, this is going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. If you just clean out your brain a little bit and think about this, you'll be fine. People love to tell me I'm contradicting myself, but I'm like, life isn't black or white. There are shades of gray. There's everything in between. So, boom, there you go. But what I would say is that we have to move quickly right now, but we also should not move quickly. And again, I know that's going to confuse some of you, so let me back it up a little bit here. It's like we should be doing things that increase speed that we can do well. So obviously, not everything that we do fast is going to have a good outcome. But if there is something that you can do quickly and, again, execute it to a high degree of accuracy, those are the activities that you should be focusing on, is the things that you can do quickly and well at the same time. But we shouldn't be rushing, things that we don't do well. Or, if we make mistakes at something at work, for example, it's like we shouldn't be rushing those things. But I do feel speed is going to be important for you. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Temperance card. Yeah, Temperance is like cause and effect, and can also be transformation. So you could be transforming something that is dead, done, over with, and just like getting started on a new path. Sometimes I think like Ten of Swords with Temperance is trying to fix the situation, like he's trying to perfect something right here when he could just go have a success. So if something is dead, just let it be dead, right? Move past it, and so that you can get onto that road to success behind you. With the world, you have the King of Swords. Yeah, King of Swords, like knowledge and wisdom, could be attracting a person who's older than you, someone who's more mature than you, or someone who is just mature, which obviously that could be good. The King of Swords is also about like sharing your wisdom with the world card. So it could be a great time for you to like share your skills, your talents, gifts, skills, and abilities, all that stuff. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this child card. It says fresh start, new beginning, new phase, newness, childish, pregnancy, naive, children, inner child, childhood. You have this courthouse. It says all legal matters, disputes, contracts, important decision, balance needed, discoveries, and assessment. So I think that there could be an important decision that you're making because you have the Seven of Cups. We'll talk about that in a second, but it looks good. It's coming up in the good stuff. A lot of people have been getting these energies of childlike energy, and you have the Six of Cups. So I think that we could be in a time where the universe wants us to be more playful, or like wants us to enjoy ourselves more, do more things that we love to do, and obviously that would be good. You have the Four of Wands, the Seven of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. The Four of Wands is a card of marriage, of course. Now, of course, you don't have to marry this person today, like I said, but you could be attracting a solid connection. The Four of Wands also wants us to set ourselves free, and we have Uranus going into Taurus, which is all about freedom. So again, if there's anything you're doing that you feel like you're wasting your time on, that's taking up too much time, those are the things that you should be getting rid of as much as you can. Now, again, I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, but obviously, yes, I understand that we all have obligations, we all have things that we can't get rid of that we have to do. Of course, that's how life works. But, for the most part, if you are doing things that are wasting your time, that is what I would get rid of. You have the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is about being spoiled for choice. Definitely can represent an important decision that you're trying to make. He's kind of like weighing his options in some ways. He's looking at an opportunity, and he's looking at the good things and bad things that could potentially happen if he makes the decision. But it's coming up in the good stuff. So I feel that you are almost giving yourself more options, which could be a good thing here, Gemini. I kind of do feel that energy for Gemini. Like, I'm pretty sure I've said this to you before, that like if I were a Gemini, and I basically am, because I am a 5-degree Pisces, and also I have my moon is in Gemini as well. It's like I would be doing things to like give yourself more options, or I would be doing something, especially if you're like working on a project. It's like, how can you promote it in multiple ways? It just seems to me like the more options you give yourself, the better. You have the Ace of Pentacles, which again is like a big opportunity. I always say Ace of Pentacles is an opportunity that only has potential. We are in a very nurturing time. So anything worth doing is going to be worth kind of nurturing and like really taking care of and really shining a light on it. Like I've been saying all year, we can't just dip our toes in the water right now. Like if we're going to do something, we have to do it, and we have to commit to it and finish it. And this will continue next year, especially when Saturn and Neptune by February, the end of February, move back into Aries. Like Saturn and Aries especially, you have to start something and finish it. That is the energy of Saturn and Aries. So again, if you're going to do something, you might as well go all the way. Here you go. With the Four Wands, you have the Ace of Cups. Again, definitely could be a very solid love connection. This looks amazing to me. So if you're attracting a new person, I think there could be something very solid coming in for you, something that makes you very happy. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Seven of Cups. Basically, the universe saying I meant what I said, so make that decision. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the King of Wands. Definitely could be a fire sign or like a very bold, assertive person for sure. I think this is saying you need to like attack something from a bold perspective. You need to be bold, assertive, and confident in the opportunities that you're getting at this time. You have this Turkey. It says someone behaving stupidly. Yeah, I would be careful of anyone. Again, I've said this before. At the end of last year, we had Mars retrograde in Leo. The last Mercury retrograde was in Leo. We're going to have Jupiter next year will go retrograde in Leo. It's like whenever we have one retrograde and then a couple after that are in the same sign, it can definitely call back the original retrograde, especially like within a year. So, Mars retrograde is always bad for dumb people, right? Plain and simple. You have this peacock. It says, beware of great pride. Same thing. You know, it's like you could be dealing with a person who has a big ego. This could be, I kind of feel like this is like work related. So, you know, that's where I would keep an eye out. You have this cloud. It says temporary problems. Yeah, I think your problems are clearing up. You know, if you look at this card, the clouds are starting to clear. So I feel that energy for you, Gemini, for sure. You have this 4-leaf clover. It says great good fortune on it. Love it. Definitely could be increasing your fortunes here. Definitely something I would focus on if I were you. Again, your unique ideas or your unique innovative directions in life are what is going to increase your luck the most. And so that's definitely something I would think about. You have this teardrops. It says great personal sorrow. I don't think you're sad at all, Gemini. I think you're about to be very happy is really what this reading is saying. And, you know, even if you don't want love, like if you want love, yeah, I think you're going to be very happy with it. But even if you don't want love, you know, it's like focusing on the energy of love and doing more of what you love is obviously going to turn that frown upside down, as I love saying. So, you know, I'm not worried about this at all if it wants to focus here, but there you go. So this looks pretty good, Gemini. Make sure to like, leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your week.